Those are all your questions?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay. All right, welcome back for the bonus Between Two Trikes video about the question and answers submitted from viewers based on the post I made last night. So I didn't give you guys a lot of time to chime in on this, but thank you for those who did. We're going to go through these now. So the first question, I've scrolled down to the bottom, and it doesn't look like it's necessarily in the order they came in, but this is at the bottom, and it's user ER9IO7ZC6Y, and I have a feeling I know who this is. I've seen comments with a similar icon pop up, and I have a feeling this is my friend Paul Joseph Hart. And his question is, what's it all mean?
Doesn't mean anything. Nothing.
Yeah, in the end.
It's an emotional thing.
That's a very beautiful way to put it. I'm hearing the lyrics of Dust in the Wind. Personally,
no idea what that is.
Nothing lasts forever except the
Trikes.
earth and sky.
Oh, I thought you were going to say
Slips
the
away,
Trikes.
and all your money will not another minute buy.
Well,
Dust in the Wind. Okay. All right. Great question, user, whoever you are.
PJ Hart.
It might be. Mr. Motorman 1235 asked a question about the kill switch on the picture I posted of the 86 125M. So I think he got that answered. I won't go on that. But Jared Dennison 3994, if all your, I think this means of all your three-wheelers, how many get ridden? That's a very good question. So
10%. Maybe 11.
So historically, over the years, I've had one big event at my house where I've invited friends up and we do like a lineup, and these are my close friends, so I'm very open with them. Like, take whatever you want to ride for a ride. Like, these are all fellow collectors, enthusiasts. They're not going to beat up on things. They're not going to do things they know are going to hurt the machines. So, on those occasions, they'll get ridden. I physically own too many to ride with any sort of regularity. I own over 100 machines. Some of them don't run. Probably about 20%. The rest would run, and if it's just they might need some starting fluid or something to get going, but you can get them all going pretty quickly. But to physically ride each one for 5 minutes, and it would take another 5 minutes to get it out and put it away at least, 10 minutes per machine, it would take a long time to cycle through them all. But which ones get ridden the most? Honestly, this past year, I've been riding the 86 Fat Cat between the house and barn quite a bit. I ride my 85 350X with the white rear fenders on it. That's my go-to rider. Bennett rides his Recon. Palin rides her 90. We've used a 86 250SX for yard work quite a bit, but my other 83 Big Red I use quite a bit because it's just it starts so easy.
Fat Cat.
I said the Fat Cat.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I don't usually ride any of my 200Xs because I don't really care. I don't ride my 250Rs much, just a little bit. I want to get my TPC running better. I think I got to adjust the valves, and I've been doing my homework on how to do that. I've never done it before, but that'll be coming up in a video. I'm going to bring the white four-wheeler, the 450ER I just got, into the shop and do a comparison TPC versus what that thing started out as, and then adjust the valves. And it's got an electrical gremlin in there somewhere that is popping fuses. So Palin's probably right, though, 10%. Especially when you put them up on a shelf. I know PJ Hart had things to say about that. That makes it a lot harder to get them down to ride. So But honestly, a lot of the 70s haven't been started in a long time, so they'd start hard.
No. Or a couple of the 70s.
A couple of them. A couple of them run good. But I'd love to go through them all and get them running. And now that I've gotten all the models, the goal is, just like what I did with my last video on the 81 110, to go through and make each one better. And I know there's more I could have done on the 81 110, but I want to get onto the 84 200E and get that running, and then get this one off to a new home. And I just want to keep moving the ball down the field, making things better, and getting them all running. I want to do that video where they're all sitting there idling. That'd be a big day. Anyway, so thank you, Jared, for that. RP4789, he says, say hell froze over and you had to sell them all but one. Which one do you keep? Well, that's a tricky question. I tend to be very sentimental, and I hoard things that I value. And based on that, the one I've owned the longest is this one. This is my 85 250R. I bought it in 97 locally. I did a restoration on it when I was in high school, and I've got some cool old footage that I recorded when I was 18. Going to be coming out soon. But I restored this in 98, 99, and I'm in the process of doing it now. It's taking forever. You see the motor on the bench behind me. I'm going to be tearing that down and redoing that this year. I'd probably have to keep this one just out of sentimental purposes. A close second would probably be my Rider 350X, because it's special in that it's got a lot of motor work done. I prefer a 350X. I know that question is coming up, but it'd probably be this because I've owned it the longest. Texas Redneck asked, I noticed your kiddos riding the quads, not the ATCs. Do you let them ride the three-wheelers? I want my daughter to get my daughter an ATV, but I'm not sure I should get her an ATC for her first one. Thoughts? I know Dan Tana 510 answered you, and there's some back and forth there, but I'll also answer you. Palin's first machine was a 70 that I got her, and it took her a little bit to get used to it. And I remember on the trail over here, she hit a root and it bounced her right off, and she fell into some pine needles. And any time that, for me, before I even put her on that machine, I limit her to what gear she's going to be in. Those have a throttle adjustment, so she can't, or whoever, the child, can't physically go past a certain throttle point. But I tell them, like, we know that these are tippy. And knowing that, as the parent, like, you need to tell the child, you're going to have to lean into the corners because it's inherently tippy. Use body language to do that. So I'm training them to do that. And I think three-wheelers got a bad reputation because adults in the 70s weren't doing that. And I'm making assumptions here. But it seems like there was a lot of people that just put their children on the three-wheelers, and there were accidents. But I personally do not have an issue putting a young child on a three-wheeler. I think in doing that, it's your responsibility to educate them on what to expect, and also put in safety restrictions, like telling them not to go into a different, upshift, regulating the throttle and things like that. The reason you see these guys on four-wheelers more is because they've kind of gravitated towards that. That TRX 90 we bought that a long time ago, when she was a baby. Bennett used that quite a bit when he was learning. My son Preston, I had bought him 86 TRX 125, and he was using that somewhat. And I think he liked the idea of getting a three-wheeler, so he told me, Dad, I want to get a three-wheeler. And this warms your heart. And so I sold that, bought him a three-wheeler. He had a bad experience with that where it got hung up on a rock, and then I think the throttle cable got stuck, and so he was rocking it to get off the rock. He was standing next to it, so once it got off the rock, it took off and rolled over into the lake. It was kind of funny, but he didn't want to ride it after that, and I don't blame him. I got him a different four-wheeler, and he just didn't ride it. It's not his thing, so I sold that. And Bennett was riding the 250SX quite a bit, the 86. He had a mishap out on the mud flats and ended up breaking the fenders, and it was a bad day for him. He got stung by a bee, poor guy. But he got a little gun shy after that, and he wanted a four-wheeler. His cousin had a four-wheeler, so that's when we found the Recon and got him that, and he really likes that. But if he liked a three-wheeler, I'd have him on a three-wheeler. I don't have any issues with it. But great question, Texas Redneck. Thank you for that. OP1Zilla, Op1Zilla, seats taken, GG's. You do that GG's a lot. I noticed that. I don't know what that is. And I don't know if this is actually a question. So thanks for the comment. Moving on. Now, this one, I recognize this guy's name. Jesse Cottoner, 431. Mr. Mullet himself. I hope you got that hair adjusted and dialed back into a normal mullet. But will there be a How to Hoard Hondas 2 video? Perhaps. What's funny is I wasn't going to narrate that video. I had everything I said in that video typed over the pictures. So it was going to be just background music and you have to read it. But I think it was too much text for my video editing app to handle, and it wasn't working right. So I ended up doing it voiceover. I put very little inflection into my voice, and it's quite boring to listen to. But it's one of my most popular videos, so it's kind of surprising to me. I could do one to update, and I could put more info in there, like, because that video gives you the impression that I still own everything that was in that video, and I don't. Since 2016, I have bought over 300 Hondas, and I've sold over 200. I think. Rough numbers. Probably. So I could do that and do it in a little more detail, so you don't have the impression that I have everything. Revive, flip, restore. We've been chatting quite a bit, you and I. But your question is, favorite tire design that came factory on a Honda three-wheeler?
I would have to go look if I wanted to decide.
You'd have to look. Okay, well, we can talk about it real quick. So this eliminates by coming factory on a tire, like the XAs, 601s and 801s that were the puncture resistance. Those didn't come factory. So those are eliminated. You've got balloon tires. Yeah. Those were the first. And then you've got your Oats, Atsu, whammy last tires. Oatmeal. As Bennett said, there's those oatmeal tires. Like the ones I cleaned up for the 110. You're just standard knobby. They're cool. I don't think they're my favorite. Then you get into like the Pro-Am style, like that would come on your 185s, 185Ss, 180 or 200S, 185S. They're cool. Don't think they're my favorite. There was also some whammy last tires that came on the 1980 185 and the first 2 years of the ATC 200. They're just a standard knobby, not my favorite. I like the look. I'd want those tires on those machines, but they're not my favorite. The 200M and the 83 200 ATC 200 has a unique tire, kind of like a Big Red 250 tire. This is pretty boring, isn't it? They're not my favorite. These Dunlops on the first gen Big Reds aren't my favorite. 250R, 3rd gen, liquid cooled. And the Pro Vector 701 and what are they on a 250R? I forget. I kind of like that look. Is that my favorite? They're knobbies on the 1st gen 250Rs. They're like a 200X 250SX on a 2nd gen 250SX. Not my favorite.
I like these a little.
Yeah, these are like 250R. I'd say, okay, final answer. Didn't mean to make this so long. The tread, and I'm gonna lump them together. 85, 86, 250R and 85, 86, 350X, because it's similar tread. They're not the same tire, but that same design. So that tire design, front and rear, final answer. And that would be 86, 87, 200S also. Psycho 16S is asking for info on the suspension setup on the 185S. I don't have a suspension setup on a 185S. I have one on a 200S, formerly owned by PJ Hart, and I did a video earlier in the month on that. So I don't know if you saw that video. Check that out. If that doesn't answer your questions, comment on that video and I can try to do better. Garage Works asks, can you do a little bit about the red trailer I've seen in the background, the one with the bent tongue? I've seen some. I have the same trailer, and I'd like to put big tires on it like yours. Okay, I will do that. I want to restore that and get that done. The mystery machine I alluded to that has been bought but not picked up, that trailer came from the same guy that I'm getting that machine from. I think it would be perfect to make that trailer match that machine, and so I'll feature that, and there'll be probably a number of videos on that machine. I do believe that trailer is a Simplicity. It's been rattle canned, and I think I can see through the paint that it says Simplicity on it. It's got a dump bed, and the tires are big red rims. The rims are big red, and they've been drilled to fit. So the bolt pattern is not correct for anything. So part of that might be making adapter plates. And I think the tires are mounted in reverse for the offset. You'll see more in a future video. Here we go from Revive, Flip, Restore. Again, another question. Favorite trike from each year? So I was reading through these before I came out here, and so that's a easy question in the 70s because there's a lot less options. So favorite trike from 1970, obviously going to be a US 90. What color?
I like blue.
I like the blue.
Like the Aquarius.
Do you know all the colors?
There's parrot green.
Parrot green.
100. No, not what it's called, is it? What's the green? Or there's a different. Sunshine yellow? No.
Yeah, summer yellow.
Summer yellow. And I don't know.
Bright red.
Bright red. Just bright red?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, if you're going to pick colors, I'd say Aquarius blue, and then I go parrot green.
Yeah.
And then 72, 73. So 72, you only got one option. It's your Tahitian red or mighty green.
Mighty green.
I like the mighty green. The Tahitian red doesn't do it for me. So then in 73, they introduced the ATC 70. So I'd have to say 73, it's got to be the 70 because it's got the flames on it. The Daytona orange with the flames. 74, you've got the Daytona orange 90 with the red 70.
No.
I probably got to go Daytona orange 90 because it's cool. So you have no options, 75, 76, 77. You've got to go with the ATC 90. 78, they come back out, second gen 70 versus the 78 90. since you've been pigeonholed to pick 90s leading up to that, you might as well pick the 70. In 79, 90 gets upgraded to the 110. You still have got your 70. Those are your only options. I'll go 110. 1980, you've got 3 options now. You got the 70, you got the 110, and you got the 185. And I think the 185, 1 year only machine.
70.
You're going to pick the 70, which is cool. I think they're all cool. 1980, I think, was a cool year, which is weird because the 70 and the 110, the color scheme is weird. It's like semi kind of Tahitian red, semi red. But the 185 is orange. So I don't know if they had, a substitute in the color department that year, but it's a little weird. 81. So you got the 250R, you got the 110, you got a 185S, you got a 70, you got an ATC 200.
Still gonna pick the 70.
Okay. I might go 250R that year because first year, it's cool. A lot of cool things happen there. 82. Do you have any changes from the previous year?
If we don't, then I pick 70.
Big Red comes out in 82.
Big Red. Me.
That one's hard.
I might pick 70, actually. When does the Christmas special come out?
83.
In
That's a
what
good one.
year?
1983.
What year are we in right now?
82.
Oh.
I kind of want to give the 185S some love. So I'm going to pick 82 185S. 83, I like the Christmas special.
Yeah.
84, I grew up on 84 Big Red.
I think I want to do Big Red too.
Yeah. 200Xs are out at that point. I really don't care about 200Xs. 85. You got 200S, you got 250R, 350X is out.
Yeah.
I'm going to do 85 250R, and I'm going to do 86 350X. 87, you've got your 125M, your 200X, 250SX, and Big Red.
Mm-hmm. Big Red.
I'm going to do 87. I'm going to do 87 250SX, so I can do 88 Big Red.
Okay.
That's. I think I hit everything.
I pick 88 Big Red too.
That's it. That's a no-brainer. All right, J-Dub 5515.
Wow.
What's a better sport trike, the 350X or the final water-cooled 250R? I know that the 250R had a thicker frame, and that's a problem that I have with my 350X. I don't want it to buckle. But I guess what I'm asking is, are you a 2-stroke or a 4-stroke guy? So I tend to be a 4-stroke guy.
I'm a 4-stroke girl.
But that doesn't answer your question. I think the answer to your question is depends. What sort of riding are you going to do? Are you going to be in the woods? Or are you going to be on a track or out in the dunes? If you're in the woods or somewhere where you're not going to be wide open throttle, getting up into the power band, you'd be better off on a 350X in my opinion. 250Rs are faster, better in that way. More BA, if you will. Said it. But
child friendly.
Sorry. I used initials.
PG.
Calm down. But if you can't get into the power band, you're just going to be frustrated because it's going to load up. It's going to follow the plug. It'll make you more miserable. So it depends on your riding style and where you want to ride. That's what I was saying. That Todd Lena, 2516.
Wow.
Which 3-wheeler cost you the most? What one would you consider to be your holy grail? So which one cost the most?
TPC?
So I think the TPC cost the most, but here's the thing. I didn't buy that separately. I bought that with a lot of other machines, and there was a bit of a bulk buy group, discount kind of thing. A little bit. But if I had bought that separately, I would say that would have cost me the most. Second to that, I would say I probably have the most money in the 85 200 ES from England. Because I forget exactly what I paid for it, but it was around $2,500. It was around $2,500 to ship it. So it was $5,000 into it when it got here. I powder coated things. I paid for a tank to be painted. I had acquired new old stock fenders for a Big Red, a first gen Big Red that I put on that. Decals. I did the math on it at one point, and I think I was into that close to $9,000. So, which one is my Holy Grail? I'd say if Holy Grail is defined by which one is the rarest, it's probably this 84 200E that sits over here. That's the rarest here. My wife asked me, are they rare in England or Finland? And I said, well, it seems to be the most of them in Finland. I've seen 3 of them for sale in Finland, or 4. Or I've seen 4 of them in Finland, not necessarily for sale. That seems to be where they went. I saw one in Chile pop up on Instagram. That's probably my Holy Grail here. Because you're probably nobody is dumb enough to import another one of those, so you're probably never going to see one. If there's anybody that's going to do it, it's probably going to be Banky.
Yeah.
And
or like someone that wants to collect every model.
Yeah.
Here. Blah, blah, blah.
So, they're tricky to find.
Yes.
I am Groot 2611 asks, what machine was your first experience on a 3-wheeler? What bike? How old were you? Winter/summer? Great question. So, my first kind of memory that I can recall, and this wasn't on a 3-wheeler. This was on my dad's 84 TRX 200. I was too young to drive, so I was riding with him, and he had a chainsaw bungee corded to the rack, and my sister had an 84 ATC 70. And she somehow drove by the machine. And I remember I watched it, and she somehow cut her thumb on the chainsaw blade. It wasn't running, but it was pretty bad. And my dad had a white polo shirt that he ripped the tail off of and wrapped her finger up. And then we had to hurry home to have that addressed. And the 70 was sold shortly after that. So that was kind of a bummer, but I wasn't riding, and that I wasn't on a 3-wheeler. First experience on a 3-wheeler. I honestly don't remember. It had to have been the 84 Big Red we had, but I don't remember the first experience. I did ride constantly. Like when I came home from school, more often than not, it seemed like I was out riding. But I think my first memory is that, because there was a little traumatic flair to it. But I'll think more on that. I am Groot 2611 and let you know if I come up with anything else. This looks like it's the last question. What is your favorite trike in the whole collection?
Well, mine used to be Ryan.
Ryan, the 3-wheeled mini truck. My favorite trike. So I did a video on this, and it's not this one. It's my Rider 350X that I got from my buddy Adam. Mm-hmm. It's souped up. I ride it the most. But there's a lot of special ones. Like this one's special. We talked about this. The TPC is special. I like that. I just wish it ran a little bit better. They're all special in some way. But I'd have to go with my 350X. I think that's it.
I mean,
there may have been. I think that's a comment to a comment. I think that's it. But that's the question and answer session. I'm glad we didn't put that in with the main video because it would have been too long. And you asked, so I answered. So